Yesterday, I spoke to you about the fact that you have died to sin. And we are busy studying Romans chapter 6. And I'm reading from the Passion Translation. If you missed yesterday's, I want you to go back and listen to that one again. Because now we are going to continue with verse 6. And this says, could it be any clearer that our former identity is now and forever deprived of its power? What was your former identity? Your former identity was you were a sinner. That is who you were. You were a sinner. And let me get this very straight to you. Once you became a child of God, you are no longer a sinner. So often I hear people say, oh, I'm just a sinner saved by grace. That's not true. Yes, the grace part is true. You were saved by grace through faith, but you are no longer a sinner. You are not a sinner saved by grace. You were a sinner and you were saved by grace. But after you've been saved, that former identity lost its power over you. So when you continue to think of yourself as being a sinner, you try to empower a dead identity. It is dead. That old person died with Jesus. It is no longer active. So how can you still want to go back to that thing? No, man, just leave it. It is past. It's gone forever, forever. It's stinking. Leave that. You are no longer a sinner. The Word of God says you are now a child of God. And as we read the letters of Paul, he continuously refers to us as saints in Jesus Christ. Listen again. Could it be any clearer that our former identity is now and forever deprived of its power? For we were co-crucified with him to dismantle the stronghold of sin within us. That stronghold of sin was dismantled. It was broken up. It was destroyed. So that we would not continue to live one moment longer submitted to sin's power. Verse 7 says, obviously, a dead person is incapable of sinning. And if we were co-crucified with the Anointed One, we know that we will also share in the fullness of his life. Verse 9. And we know that since the Anointed One has been raised from the dead to die no more, his resurrection life has vanquished death, and its power over him is finished. And in the same way, the power that sin had over you is done away with. It is finished. It no longer has any power over you. Verse 10. For by his sacrifice he died to sin's power once and for all of us. My words. But he now lives continuously for the Father's pleasure. So let it be the same with you. Let it be the same with you. Since you are now joined with him, you must continually view yourselves as dead and unresponsive to sin's appeal, while daily living for God's pleasure in union with Jesus, the Anointed One. And here is a key for your victory over sin, is you must continually view yourself as dead. You must start to see yourself as dead to sin. That former identity has died. That former identity no longer has any power over you. You must see yourself. You must view yourself. You must think of yourself. You must talk of yourself as being dead to sin. And that you are unresponsive to sin's appeal, while living daily for God's pleasure in union with Jesus Christ. You are sharing your life with Jesus. Therefore, you must live in that union with Him. View yourself as dead. View yourself as dead to sin. And when temptation comes your way, remember, you don't have to enter into temptation. The Bible tells us that there's always a way of escape. No temptation is too strong that you can't resist it. I know sometimes we walk in the shop, we buy that chocolate, and then we come home and say, I just couldn't resist it. I know we want to believe that, but in fact, it is not true. You could resist it. You could have turned away. You could have told yourself, listen, I really want this chocolate, but I'm not going to have it. And this is only talking about chocolates. So are all the temptations that come your way. You don't have to fall into them. You don't have to enter them. That is why Jesus told his disciples, pray that you will not enter into temptation. You see, temptations will always be there. They will definitely come because the devil has one purpose in mind, and that is to make you fall. The temptations will always be there. But sin has no power over you. Darkness has no power over you once you became a child of God. Satan has no power over you if you are a born-again child of God. The only things that he can do in your life are those things that you allow him. When you open the door, when you invite him in, or when you forget to close the doors and he comes in. But you, as a child of God, in your spirit, man, you look exactly like Jesus. In your spirit, you've got exactly the same power over sin and darkness as Jesus has in his own spirit. Because 1 John 4 verse 17 says, because as he is, so are we in this world. Not one day, not in the next life, in this world. You are already in your spirit, man, exactly like Jesus.